How's it going, everyone? JD here with Douglas Elliman in Las Vegas, Nevada, with another video podcast to introduce and showcase another top agent in our Douglas Elliman family. This agent is amazing. His name is George Sarkis Jr. out of Boston, Massachusetts, doing great business at a high volume. He's been ranked the top team for several years through Douglas Elliman. He's part of the sports entertainment division with Douglas Elliman as well. He's helped some amazing athletes in Boston as well, native Bostonian, and also has some record deals out in Boston himself. So we'll get into detail, but I'll bring him to the screen right now. We have George Sarkis Jr. Welcome to the podcast, my man.
What's up, brother? Thanks for having me.
Of course. And George, I'll give it quick and easy. I was recommended to talk to you because of what you do in your business. I mean, we're lucky in our company. We have amazing agents through our network across the nation, and you're one of them on the East Coast. Once again, Bostonian guy, lives and breathes Boston. He helps a lot of Boston athletes, but obviously does business at a high level. So we'll get into it so people get to know you. All right. So I'm going to bring a question to the screen right now, and this is your time to talk about your business, just your bragging rights. I know it's not always comfortable to say everything about yourself, but tell us about yourself, what you've done, and of course, how you got into the business, Junior.
For sure. So, I grew up in the city. I went to school in Boston, and at a young age, I actually I was in the nightlife business, hospitality nightlife, and my brother and I had a promotions company called Boston Brothers Promotions, and
Nice.
we pretty much ran every single club in Boston for 10 years and hosted some of the biggest names in entertainment and sports. And that business was successful. We had to be in the hospitality business. We had to host and make sure people were having a good experience, whether it was if it was a birthday party, or if they were out to celebrate a special occasion, or just out in the city of Boston visiting. And after some time, that business took its course. I had my first baby, my first daughter, and I realized that I couldn't do this for too much longer. But I had a passion for real estate. I was buying real estate at a young age. I had an agent every now and then that would help me purchase, but never really loved the experience. I was always about making sure customer service was at a high level, and I never really experienced that. So I decided to get my license during that process of buying real estate. And when my promotional and nightlife career came to an end, I just basically parlayed my network of all of these contacts I made over a 10-year run in nightlife and put that towards real estate and selling high-end luxury residential property.
So nightlife. I mean, we're in Vegas, right? So we get nightlife. Yes. So I get that.
I can't compare to Vegas and Boston. I'll tell you that. So.
Well, I'll tell you, we do some things right, and definitely nightlife's one of them. But I do understand, man. Nightlife is a different beast. It's a wonderful industry, but it's a grinding industry. It's also late nights and early mornings, and I get it. And to your point, if there's a shelf life for that industry, I mean, people do a long term, don't get me wrong, but it can catch up to you, especially if you're starting to have a family, right? You want to be home at nights and weekends, and so you got to pivot in that too. But you're right. That what you do back then was collect that database. So you literally had a phenomenal database that you really like. Hey, I know these people. Let's reach out to them.
Yeah, and that's really where I started. I mean, having that database is one thing, but a lot of those people weren't ready and willing buyers at the time, and you had to gain their trust. And I'm a younger agent in this market, so I'm 34 years old. I have been selling real estate or buying real estate since I was 21.
Sure.
And I was always dabbling. I love my brother and I. My brother Manny is my partner. Our father always told us, don't pay rent. It's like flushing money down the toilet. So if you can purchase real estate, if you can really dictate the future and you don't have anyone, raising your rent or dictating what you can and can't do in a property that you're living, then that's what you must do. So I was always very interested in real estate. I loved buying property at a young age. And we've basically put together a pretty impressive portfolio in Boston. So at that point, I had that knowledge and I had that experience buying real estate. So I was able to, translate that to a lot of other potential buyers, even at a young age. It wasn't like I was able to just jump into the luxury market and sell, $3+ million homes or $2+ million homes. I started somewhere, and I was able to, explain the process to even young athletes that I had relationships with that they were paying $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month in rent.
Yeah.
And I would just say, hey guys, you could buy this. You could even put down 5 or 10%, and your monthly payment, when interest rates are obviously better than they are now, you could have a mortgage payment less than your rent. And I had some athletes who bought, and their concern was always, well, I might not be here for 5 years. I might not be here for 3 years. But Boston is actually, even today, it's number 2 in the country for rents. We just surpassed San Francisco, and Boston is now number 2 in the rent numbers.
For how expensive it is, or for what?
Yeah. We're the second most expensive rental market in the country, after Manhattan, which will always be number 1 in my opinion. So at that point, I always would tell these clients and these buyers, you never have to think about living here forever. I'm a resource. I'm boots on the ground in Boston. Worst case scenario ever to get traded, or even if it was a regular buyer who was relocating, we can always rent this out.
Sure.
And someone else will be paying down your mortgage, and you'll be building equity, and you have the appreciation play, and you have cash flow play. So that's really how I started. Sometimes it was a family, sometimes it was just a condo, and we started small. But being in the nightlife, I had financial advisors, I had sports agents, and I even had high net worth individuals that were coming here for school, international students. And we had a relationship. It was kind of like, what's up, my man? You need a table tonight? It was cool.
Different relationship, for sure. Yeah.
Different relationship. And then when I got into the real estate game, it was almost like I had to start over. It was
the switch.
They didn't, I wasn't the knowledgeable real estate advisor. They didn't know me at that level, and I hadn't built the trust with them yet. So it was all about continuing to be persistent and consistent with sending data, showing how knowledgeable I was. Because you're not always selling. You're not selling the student, the international student here. You're selling his parents. You're not selling the athlete himself. You're selling either his parents or his manager, financial advisor. So you just had to know what you were talking about. It was a different game. And that's one thing that I realized at a young age, or in starting off in the business, is data is everything, and being knowledgeable and doing the right thing was super important.
Absolutely. I think you hit it on the head in the sense of knowing how to you switch it over, right? So you just I got their trust in the nightlife, they know me kind of thing, but earning their trust in the different fields is different, right? Because some people probably wouldn't have received that too easy. Okay, George, you got me hookups on the table, you got me, but I don't know, my man. Anyone can get the license, and that's true. Everyone can get the license. That's That's probably the easiest thing to do, but actually doing good business is the hardest thing to do, right? So I can see that people will have pushback and whatnot, but obviously you got to prove yourself and know your information, like you say, know the data kind of thing, and slowly but surely you're going to transform people's mindsets and perception because of the work you put on the back end to showcase yourself.
Absolutely. And another thing too is I was always fully, transparent and honest with them. And I let them know that I made mistakes purchasing at a young age. I bought properties. Sometimes I waived a home inspection, or I bought it for higher than the value actually was. And that was really the main reason I got my license and wanted to get into this field, was because I had poor representation at a young age as a young buyer, as a first-time home buyer. So I just realized that, even though I may have paid more than the property was worth or made mistakes, today these properties, I still own them, and they have doubled, if not tripled, in value.
Right.
Because, if you're buying at a young age specifically, you can somewhat afford to make mistakes, because real estate is a long-term play, in my opinion. people have reached out to me and have said, find me something that I can flip in 2 years. And I've always said, I mean, I'd be buying it, my man, if I can do that. So, but I say there's no way of dictating 2, 3, 4 years.
Be short,
but I can't tell you that based on the data in Boston, a 10-year run, you make money.
Yeah.
I mean, every cycle, even from 08 to 2018, you made money. You didn't make money in 09 and 2010, but in 11, 12, it starts to pick up again. So if you're holding on to real estate and you're young and you can afford to, wait it out, you will always build equity and build wealth in the long term. So.
Absolutely. I'm like you. I'm lucky enough to work with some athletes here in Vegas. Obviously, Vegas is a new sports town, and so we're very excited about that. We got some good things going for us. And a lot of the athletes, either to your point, have either managers or their parents involved with the purchases, whatnot. And a lot of them just want information. I mean, literally, they want information. And so, they pick my brain. They ask questions like, "How do I build a portfolio? What should I do?" kind of thing. And so, I think it's great to have a resource like us. It's super important that they trust too. And then you started at a younger age too, and I was lucky enough to start at a younger age too. So I was able to learn what I did not like in my agent as well, like you just said, right? So you like, okay, I didn't have a great experience, but I want to create that good experience for my clients and for my business kind of thing. So you already had the framework of what not to do. But you also said that you kind of were born in the business, correct? Your family did it as well?
No, actually, my father, he loved real estate, but back in the day, he came here from Lebanon, and he went to Northeastern University, started we were in the food business. So my brother and I's dad basically opened up cafes in Harvard Square around Harvard University. And he had one specific space where the rent was, I think, $10,000-12,000 a month. And he opened up a store. His rent was $25,000 plus a month. And his business did well, but the rent would go up every year. And my father's landlord actually was a mentor to my brother and I. He was a real estate mogul. He was, he's made really big deals happen. From the 90s, he bought a building for, I believe, $700,000, ended up selling it a couple of years back for about $30 million. But we were always very friendly with him, and he was actually a friend of my father's, but he would also bump the rent every 5-10 years. And my dad would see that. Business is business. And our dad would see that, and he would just always, stress to my brother and I, you guys should never pay rent. He hated rent so much. And we were able to get close with this landlord who, like I mentioned, became a mentor to my brother and I, and, taught us about real estate, really about purchasing and adding value and just building wealth from real estate. And that's how the interest really started, from seeing our dad pay rent and having this mentor kind of guide us through the process and the fundamentals of real estate investing.
That's cool, man. Yeah, I was lucky enough to, my parents were always about real estate from day one too. Like, hey, when you can, do it. It does work. Yeah. It's a long-term play, like you said. Do it. So that's kind of ingrained in me. And luckily, and crazy enough, I do real estate for a career, which is crazy. So it's just crazy how things work. Okay, so let's talk about so one thing I want to give people advice too. So let's say someone's watching who is in a different industry like the nightclub, and they do have a Rolodex and a database. What do you recommend to do to like tap that into that without being that guy to say, hey, guess what? I sell homes now. What does that look like? How did you do it? What was your approach and to make it to be successful?
What you just said kind of is, you have to be that guy, man. Yeah. Like in real estate or any profession you do, you're selling insurance, you're a wealth manager. You have to have the, pardon my French, but I don't give a fuck mentality.
Sure.
You have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
You can't care about what someone's going to think of you. So what I did was I just went through my phone book. Yeah. I just texted people, called people, reached out, let them know what I did, that I, shifted gears into the real estate business. And, I'm a real estate advisor now. I can help you, even if you need advice with someone who doesn't have skin. Like I reached out to some people in the beginning and they said, oh man, I just bought a house. I'm actually under agreement. Or, I just listed my house. And I would just simply say, Well, I'm here to help. I mean, no skin in the game. If you need someone to just oversee it or look into a potential offer, or if you want me to come by your house and just give you my opinion on it, like I said, you already signed up with someone, that's great. But I'm here to help and be a friend and be an extension of that other real estate agent. And once again, with no skin in the game. So I just would text everyone, let them know. And, I didn't rely on social media and everything else that we have access to today, but I would just be relentless and persistent and call people. Sometimes I didn't get an answer. Sometimes people probably said, oh, he's just trying to sell me something, this and that. Like, you're going to have haters, and people are going to obviously not be a fan and want to support you. But if you're reaching out to 1,000 plus people, even if you get 15 to 20 of those people, you can then build your book of business off of that small little percentage.
Absolutely.
And grow from there. So I'm a big believer in not caring about what people say. Good. And putting your head down and putting in the work.
I love it. Yeah, I'm with you too. It's funny. I always tell new agents who reach out to me, I'm like, don't be a secret agent, right? Your goal is to let everyone know what you do, but making sure you know what you do and how you do it well, right? That's important too. Everyone's an agent, but knowing your business, showing that you care, and also doing that pro bono work. If someone's like, hey, I'm already in contact, hey, cool. Hey, if you have any questions or that, they'll remember that going, man, the guy said he'd just to look at something for me or look over. I actually helped one of the athletes who was at one of our Raider kickers who was in contact with someone else. He knew who I was. He's like, hey, dude, I know I didn't use you. It was something happened. I'm like, hey, can you look over the contract? I'm like, dude, of course. So, I mean, so that's cool. But I'm pretty sure that down the road, he's like, hey, dude, you're my guy or whatever. I mean, so it makes sense, obviously, because you do care too. That's important. So with your success, man, I mean, you're doing really well. And to remind everybody, this guy's an animal here. What does your business look like in 2023? I mean, we're halfway done with the year. Obviously we're doing, it's crazy. But what's going on now? Like we said, mentioned the rates are not too long ago kind of thing. What does your business look like? And, how have you guys pivoted this year with what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a very interesting year for sure. The beginning of 2023 started off a little slow. Yeah. We have different markets that we service. So we do the suburbs, we do the city. Massachusetts is, it's not very big to the point where you can't go from the city to the suburbs. You have some agents that specifically just service the city. Some agents just service specific towns in the suburbs, yeah. But we do it all. And the city got off to a slow start. Transactions right now are down about 30%. Yeah. Absorption, which is the total sales volume, is down about 33-34%. But the average price is holding up. But we were able to, shift gears a little bit. The suburbs were really strong for us in the beginning of the year. And our new development condo sales at a lower price point were a little tough because interest rates impacted a buyer from $500,000 to $3 million for sure. Sure. But we had some big deals, to start the year, an $18.3 million single family deal that closed. That was a cash buyer. We had a couple other $7, $8, $9 million deals hit. So we started off somewhat slow, it was a little tough, yeah. But we're catching up to where we were last year at this point today. So right. It's been a grind. Working on a deal is harder than it's ever been. Keeping a deal together, as you would know, is just harder than it's ever been. You just have to work harder than you did in the previous 2 years to get a deal done. And you have to kind of change your habit. If you had bad habits from the last 2 years because it was so easy, you kind of have to get back to the basics and make sure that you're following up with your client, you're writing everything down, you're not missing a beat during the transaction, and delegate for sure, but try to have your pulse on everything as well.
Agreed. No, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. Where every deal is I think more involved than ever before too, right? Really holding on to it, making sure everything's good, and paying extra close attention to every situation, because everyone is sensitive right now when it comes to the financing rates and everything kind of thing. So every day matters right now, especially for locking things and getting a contract. And I mean, it's every day matters, and the payments change dramatically, especially on the higher price points too, right? So I'm not. Are you guys doing concessions out there too? Are you seeing that happen?
Yeah, we're doing it for specific projects and depending on what it is. But really, the main struggle was in the beginning of the year with delays. Now, if you take 10 new construction projects in Boston for luxury condos, townhomes, whatever it is, there's delays across the board.
Sure.
Whether it's financing, whether it's money not being there for developers, whether it's supply chain issues, there's been delays. So we've had to become therapists to these buyers. But we've also had to go to battle for them, because people had locked in rates at 3.5 or 4, and delays, obviously you're up against time when it comes to a rate lock. So developers have had to make concessions for these rate locks. And you're talking about thousands of dollars in payments and payments going up. So that's impacted us, and that's where we've really had to give concessions, and developers have had no choice. I mean, and they've done that. Bless you. Bless you. But yeah, I mean, that's really that was the struggle with buyers and representing buyers. Obviously, you say, oh, the developer is reputable because they are, and the product's good because it is, and the value's there because it is. But delays suck for everything and for everyone. People have made changes where they sold their current home and they're relocating from another state, and you need to get them in, but we don't have a C of O yet, certificate of occupancy, and it's been tough. It's been hard for sure, but we've fought through it. You gotta just communicate. A lot of people just want communication, and they want honesty. Sometimes you communicate something with them. Unfortunately, the person that gave you the information wasn't 100% honest or accurate, but it falls on you, and that's the business we're in. I mean, you have to take a big portion of the blame and just try to calm everyone down and take it step by step.
Absolutely, man. I always say that we sell homes, but we're also a therapist, 100%. I literally said that yesterday, and that's funny because we are. I mean, because people are. I mean, they divulge. I mean, I always say on my listing or sales presentation, like, the more transparent you are with me, the better I can support you, right? But sometimes the transparency is a lot, more than I need to know. But hey, I'd rather have that than less information. Don't get me wrong, kind of thing. But yeah, it's communication is key for all clients. They really just want clear communication, and also concise and also honest, right? And that's what people care about. Even if it's hard information to receive, they still want it, like, because they need to plan their life, their move, or whatever situation it is, right? Like, George, if you know, let me know so I can make a move or whatever. It's like, that's fine, but I need to know right away. And so a lot of things are out of control, right? If it comes to the contract to the builder, you're like, hey, I'm relaying this from them. That's what they're saying. But at the same time, they're saying 4 months. I'm thinking more like 6. So I'm giving you a little more padding, right? Because they're going to pad their numbers. They're going to say earlier, all day, every day. But I'd rather be more realistic. So therefore, But if it's earlier, then great. But if it's not, at least we plan for that, right?
For sure.
So where are your clients coming from? Are people moving into Boston, or what does that look like? I'm curious. I don't know what that looks like.
Yeah, I mean, like I told you before, we're doing the suburbs and the city. So, I mean, we have listings across the state, and it really starts in downtown Boston. That's where our office is. And what I've told a lot of people is, if you're a Boston broker, you go everywhere. Now, if you're a suburb broker and you live in that town and that's the town you service, you're a suburb broker and that's the town you service. But Boston brokers go everywhere, and we're able to do that. But so we have, the young professionals, the clients that we've serviced, 5 years ago, who bought a condo in downtown, lived in a brownstone, lived in a high rise. We're young professionals. We're just starting off in their careers. Maybe had one one baby or had a baby on the way. And obviously the second child came, they started thinking about needing more space. Obviously the pandemic impacted that, COVID.
Yeah.
So a lot of our clients who we were servicing in the city as buyers agents were basically like, all right, we need to go to the suburbs. So we service towns like Brookline, Newton, Wellesley, which is west of Boston, and then the North Shore, which is like Manchester, Gloucester, Beverly on the water. And we had to basically go where our clients wanted to go. And so we were selling these single family homes to them as they were leaving the city. So we were transacting in the suburbs. We were then selling their condos in the city. And then we had empty nesters. We had, referrals coming in, people who wanted to sell their home in the suburbs and buy that condo in the city.
Got it.
So we were basically going and coming wherever our clients needed to go. And it was great.
Yeah, I think it's the best feeling when you have a client, like you said, who you meet them, they're young professionals, and they meet someone and they start a family, and then they go to the suburbs. So you're part of their life the whole way. And it's super cool. I do love that too. Yeah.
And another thing too, like when we talk about the suburbs, it was a lot of, there was this perception for so long about these suburb brokers who did business in these specific towns.
Sure.
And you would go to a listing pitch and the seller would say, yeah, but you don't live in the town, and, you haven't really done a lot in this specific town. But it got to the point where I would say to them, but the buyer doesn't live in this town. The buyer's coming from the city. So we know who the buyer is, where they're going, and what they're looking for. So we're able to place them in this town. And the days of that like specific broker being running that specific town has changed a little bit over the last 3 to 4 years.
That's actually really smart. So you think about if you find a home in a suburb, the odds of someone buying another home in that same is very, very slim, right? Therefore, where are they coming from? And that's what we do well, and that's our clientele coming from the city. So that's actually a really smart pitch. That's a really smart idea. So yeah, people are like, that makes sense. That makes sense. So in this market, obviously, like I said, being the rates and whatnot, what are you saying to your clients right now? Like, hey, I want to buy. Is it a good time? I want to sell. Is it a good time? What does that look like? I mean, how are you presenting that?
So with the buyers, I'm letting them know there's opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to go back 2 years ago when, there was $1 million home hitting the market. It would sell for $1.2 million, $1.3 million, multiple offers, over ask, and people got demotivated and they sat on the sidelines for a little bit.
Yeah.
Now you're at a point where you have homes that are on the market for $1 million, might sell 50,000 over ask, might go for $1 million at ask, or just under ask at 950, 970, 980. Mm-hmm. So that being said, you can make a move now, and the interest rate changed from 3 to 5.5, 4 to 6. It's going to be pretty even.
Yeah.
If you're getting something at market or under market, $200,000-$300,000 shift right there in price, your payment is not going to fluctuate that much. And what we tell everyone, you can always refinance.
Right.
You're not locked into a rate for life.
Right.
So I've told them this is an opportunity to get into a home. Obviously, the clients of mine who have to buy.
Sure.
We just can't live in a 2-bedroom condo with
5 kids.
2 kids. Even with 2 kids, it's like you're running out of space, and schools become a priority.
Right.
People want to get their kids in the best public schools. Massachusetts is known for 2 things: meds and eds, medical and education.
Okay.
We have the best high schools, public schools, private schools, and obviously colleges in the country. So
you do.
You've just had to tell your buyers, like, listen, if you need this is a purchase that you're making to live in this home. You're making this move for your family. You have to put the numbers aside sometimes and make the move for your lifestyle. You guys, like, you have a job, you have a job. Your job isn't to buy this home specifically to make money. Now it has rates have impacted affordability to some level. Like we had $2.5-3 million buyers who then had to, bring their budget down to 175, 22, 23 because of that rate based on your DTI, debt to income ratio. So that's what we've told buyers. We've pivoted with them. Regarding sellers, that's where the therapy comes into play. That's where we are just over communicating. No one in our field likes to get a call at 8-9 p.m. after a long day from a client just saying, what's going on, any activity? So we have been communicating at a high level. We start to send out emails every 10 days, every 2 weeks, sometimes every week with updates, because you can't tell a seller everything you do. And we do a lot. You do a lot. Top agents at a high level are consistently doing something different, trying to think outside the box.
Of course.
Whether it's reaching out to Douglas Elliman PR, best in the country, shout out DEPR, or reaching out to the marketing department at Douglas Elliman. We have our own creative marketing director in house, so we're consistently trying to find new avenues to get these listings out there. We are contacting brokers. We're reaching out to, specific companies who handle reloads, and we're doing all this. But a lot of the time, we weren't communicating this and letting our sellers know because, once again, we're doing so much. So we're now sending out a weekly or bi-weekly email outlining everything. Nice. Hey, John, hope all is well. Just want to let you know this is what we've done year to date, and we just continue to add to it. PR push, email blast, social media posts, whatever it is, events, videos. We add that, and then we have another section at the bottom of the email that basically says, this is what we have coming up next. This is what we're doing. We plan on doing this next week, this coming week, et cetera, et cetera. And then we put down prospects, John Smith, Sally, whatever. And we just put the list of names and we give them ratings and we ship it out. Now, when you do that, you're avoiding having to jump on a phone call and talk at 9 at night, 8 p.m., 9 p.m. So it's just communicating, letting them go through it. And even if they do decide to call you, you have an email to reference. And be like, did you see the email? And just kind of read off of it, because you have to just stay in constant contact with these sellers, because, it's a big move. They need to sell. Some people don't as much as they do, but you have clients who are obviously sometimes having bad days and just want to give you a call because something shitty happened at work, and you just have to be ready to go.
No, for sure. It's funny. I think, I'm a listing agent as well. And so I've learned as a cadence that the clients want to see what's going on, what you're doing. I've had some clients like, hey man, you don't have to, every week that's too much. Like just, every 2 weeks or tell you what, just call me when you have someone in. So you depend. So I'm a big on you shift between, because of the client, right? Whatever what they
for
want,
sure.
Right?
Absolutely.
So you got to see what they want, what's better for them. Some I want to talk to you every single day. I'm sure you have those clients too. And you have clients who are like, hey, when you get an offer, call me. You know what I mean? One of those things. Yeah. So that's important. But the fact that you already have that in play, you can shift it, right? So therefore you have to do extra. You're already done extra. So therefore you either pull back or you just continue what you're doing. Yeah.
And I get the email set up anyway. Now. Yeah. If I send it or not, that's another question. I might have had a phone call with them, the day before, but I have it and I'm collecting the data and I'm collecting the timelines of everything we're doing just so it's ready to go, because it's better to be proactive than reactive. You don't want to have someone call you and then put it together, because that's happened to me in the past. You want to be over prepared, proactive. So when that call comes or when that email comes, you're ready to rock.
Agreed. All right. So because of what's happening in real estate, from technology, AI, chat GPT, people relocating, people were able to work from home. There's so many variables in real estate right now, right? I know you don't have a crystal ball, George, because I know every client has asked you what's going to happen next 5 years, but what do you see happening? Obviously, we are boots on the ground. Like you said, we have past data. We can kind of see what's going on. What are you kind of seeing in real estate in the next 5 years? Well, give me your synopsis.
Are you talking about our jobs, or are you talking about
Industry in general.
Okay, well, you can never replace two guys like us. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
technology can never replace that face-to-face
yeah,
interaction, that intimacy, that emotion. So, as a real estate agent, your job's always going to be safe. People are going to always want, especially at at a high level,
right.
in the luxury market, in the luxury sector. People are going to always want to pick up the phone. They're always going to want to see the agent, talk to them, and communicate with them, which is very important because you want to know who you're trusting.
Yeah,
And technology is technology. The face-to-face interaction, the voice-to-voice phone calls, it's very important. So I think our jobs are going to just continue to be more important as we go, as
yeah,
you continue to thrive, to excel in your career and grow. You're just going to have more and more knowledge.
right.
I mean, if you do an off-market deal next week that no one knows about, it doesn't even get recorded. It's not on Zillow, it's on MLS, but you sold, 15 Marlboro for $20 million and you have an NDA and you can't really talk about it or publicize it. Guess what? AI doesn't know that. Technology doesn't know that. That's knowledge. That's up here.
Right.
And that's the power of being a real estate agent and knowing what you're doing. In regards to the market as a whole, I said it earlier, I mean, it's the best investment you can make.
Right.
When you buy real estate, I'm talking just Warren Buffett quotes right now. It's like, it's the best investment you can make. No one can take it from you. It's a real asset and it eventually appreciates.
Tangible.
Yep. And look at banks now, man. I mean, sometimes people don't really feel safe putting all their money in the bank. And crypto's taken a hit, obviously, which has impacted a lot of real estate investors, but some of them were probably very happy and fortunate to have cashed out and bought real estate because those values have, stayed at least somewhat leveled or went up or dropped a little bit, but they'll come back up. So I think no matter what, real estate in the next 5 years will continue to grow. You're going to have bumps along the way, but if you hold, you make money.
Agreed. Let's talk about. I know you talk about NDA. NDA, you can't disclose a certain deal, whether it be something you signed at the beginning, a high-profile client, actor, a celebrity, whatnot. You did mention about. I mentioned about you did a deal with Reebok, the founder of Reebok. How much can you talk about that one?
I can talk about. I mean, Paul Fireman is. I was just with him in Palm Beach about a month and a half ago, and Paul went through 2 or 3 agents, I believe, for selling his home in Brookline. Started at 90 million, and I think we took it on at 55 or 60. And it was a very tough deal. It was a unique property. Whoever bought it got a steal. I can tell you that. And Paul messes with me about it every now and then, but he was, he's the founder of Reebok and he was a marketing genius, very smart guy, and someone that I actually learned a lot from through the process. And he brought us on, my brother and I, because he just saw the work ethic. He knew we were relentless. He knew we were going to think outside the box and do whatever it took to get the job done. And we did. We sold it for a combined of $41 million. We split it up. It was a 14-unit parcel. You had the house on 14 acres. You had the house on 14 acres. And we basically sold the house in 7 acres for $23 million. And we split it up and sold the additional 7 acres for $18 million. So it was a combined $41 million deal. And Paul referred me business. He was okay with press. He was, a fan and really wanted to see us succeed. And that definitely helped jumpstart our careers into selling some of these more high-end, $10+ million homes.
Very cool. What a good story, my man. So when are you going to get your custom Reebok shoe? Is that next?
No, I mean, but it was funny when I was at the house selling it. He had a little Reebok museum downstairs, and you
Oh, that's
saw
cool.
everything from Muhammad Ali shorts to the Allen Iverson sneakers, the Answers.
The Answers were
He
my
had,
favorite shoes.
uh,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
it was crazy. He had the D Brown pumps
yeah.
down there, like it was crazy. But definitely became more of a Reebok fan and wore more Reebok after I
That's
sold that
yeah.
house.
I remember in high school, yeah, I had the AIs, and I was like, that was the shoe, man. Until this day, I still love AI. You know what I mean? So,
Talking
thank
about practice.
yeah.
Talking about practice.
It's classic, but no, that shoe was awesome. But what a cool story, man. I mean, and I love everyone I'm talking to. Everyone's got that deal that either just changed the game for them, or just just show that anything is possible. Which is cool, and it opens different doors, kind of thing. And even obviously, your goal is to sell the home, and even if you don't sell it, some of the agents have said they've earned respect from the client because they did everything they could.
Yep.
So they might not have sold that property, but they gave other properties to more, referred more business. So obviously your goal is to sell the property, everything you can do, but sometimes it doesn't pan out. But you never know how hard you work and open other doors too, because they see that what you did or what outside the box or whatnot. And that's happened for me too, where this doesn't pan out, but other things took place because of what I tried to do, which is good too.
For sure. And honestly, even if you lose the client and they don't refer you business, and it's a relationship that dies, if you have to learn something.
Yeah.
I mean, if you failed, whether it was you didn't try to get a price drop sooner, or you didn't do something that you thought you could have done, or you didn't try to push harder to get that offer accepted right out the gun. Like, you learn from that,
Sure.
and every failure has some learning experience that comes with it, and you just have to get better every time. So
Yeah, it's like that saying goes: you're not if you're not failing, you're learning, and that's what it comes down to for sure.
for sure.
But yeah, I'm sure your toolbox, like mine, is just our toolboxes are deep. Because we've seen a lot, and that's what gives us experience, right? Also the white hairs, but also experience. But we see
Yeah.
things. We see things. We know how to navigate things. And a last conversation I had the other day with another agent, we talked about our way we can stay calm, our demeanor, and that's important too. That we've seen these things. So clients, if we're freaking out, our clients are going to freak out all day, every day, right? But if we can maintain a composure and say, "Hey, I've seen this before. This is what we need to do. This is how it looks like." They go, "All right, cool." But I'm sure you see it too, where there's some agents that everything, all the time, is on fire every time. You know what I mean? Even if it's the smoothest transaction, they're just going nuts.
Yeah, I said it yesterday to a client. I mean, I had a client talk to me yesterday, and their home is in a beach area, so it's like the good weather is important, and the grass is green, the flowers are out. Spring and summer is important for this property to showcase at the best level, the highest level possible.
Sure.
But they were like, we have to really get an offer within the next 2 to 3 months, so then we're going up against the fall and the winter in Massachusetts. You don't worry about that as much as I do, luckily. But I said, hey, listen, I sold two of the most expensive homes in this area year to date. And two of the three biggest deals I've done in this area have actually came in November. I said, this house sold in November. This other house, I got an accepted offer, my $18.3 million deal, when I was in Aruba for Thanksgiving. So on Thanksgiving, my wife wasn't a big fan. I was in the lobby negotiating an $18 million deal, but we got it done. So if I didn't get it done, I would have been in a lot of trouble.
For sure. You walked away and you did get it done? Yeah.
But like to be able to say, hey, listen, don't stress. I know that you might think that it's spring and summer, but historically, and for me specifically, I've got two big deals done in November.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but sometimes people are trying to make a deal before the end of the year, tax purposes, tax savings, whatever it is. The summer's over, and they're looking to make a move so they can be in this home for next summer.
Correct.
So, everyone's different, and you just have to provide that experience, like you said, and let them know that it's going to be okay and to stay positive.
Yeah. And I think you're 100%. And also, you should say, right, this is your home looks the best right now. That's why we're taking these photos and video right now,
Yep,
because that will live through winter. I mean, so they're going to see what's going to look like, to you said, the next following year, right? So that's good.
for sure.
So that I think that too. But yeah, I mean, that's important that you stay composed, and obviously data is important to showcase that. Like, hey, I hear you, and you're absolutely right. It's a great prime time right now. Don't get me wrong, but let me show you this stuff too. You know what I mean? They go, okay, well, that makes you feel a little better as well. So, let's talk about more about Boston. Obviously, I want people to know you do a lot of Boston deals. Have you thought about expanding at all? Or I mean, because the East Coast is so different. You're so close to many locations, right? I mean, I know you're concentrated on there and you're focused on there, and you're obviously killing it there. Is expansion in the works? Have you thought about doing that?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely in the works. We're building. We just moved into our new office now, so don't mind the echo. We need some more furniture in here, but we just moved into this office. We've built a really amazing team, and we're somewhat operating our own little company within DE.
Nice.
And it's what we're trying to do is master the Sarkis team way, where
Yep.
put a box together, and this is the company, and you can take this box and you can throw it in this part of the country and grow and open it up, and the manuals are there, from dress code to scripts to what the Sarkis team way is. And we want to grow, but obviously you don't want to grow faster than you can handle, and you want to make sure that you really focus on mastering that business model before you go anywhere else to another market. But right now, we're really doing all of Massachusetts,
Yes.
from the city to the suburbs, North Shore, South Shore. We're doing deals in Cape Cod, but I think the next part of our business will be Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard.
Yep.
So we want to capture the islands.
Yep.
There's some big real estate deals. We have a lot of our that would be next, and then even potentially going out to new within driving distance of Boston.
Yep.
And then eventually I want to open up in South Florida. I love Florida, the Florida market. We do a lot of referrals in Florida.
Sure.
But within 3 hours, I'm never coming to Vegas, so you don't have to worry about that.
I welcome it.
But I do have a referral for you, hopefully, in Vegas. Hopefully the Raiders sign one of my boys who's a free agent, so we'll talk about that.
Let's go. Yeah, I think reason why I ask, I think it's one thing I love about Douglas Elliman is they welcome expansion, they welcome growth, right? Obviously, if you're established in an area, they see what you're doing, they welcome it, and they push it for you too, which is great. So that's why I ask, man. I mean, I know people who don't leave their market because they just dominate, and they're like, I'm very happy, and that's cool. I have no problem with that, And so, but I'm just curious of what is. So I'm not trying to reveal any of your secrets by any means if you don't want, But I'm just curious.
No, I'm cool. Listen, man. Like you just said, you'll welcome it. I welcome everyone, and I think when you work with like-minded individuals and you have relationships with other agents, even in your exact market, you build and you grow with them. And like I go up against some of the same teams or same broker, like some of the heaviest hitters in Boston, and they'll beat me to a listing for sure. Like, and they'll get it, and I'll call them. Well, I'll tell the seller first and foremost, you made a great decision. You hired a great group of people. They will sell it. They will be successful. I'm happy you went with them. They're hard workers. I speak very highly of them. I usually get a call the next day from that agent who works for a competitive brokerage, obviously, but we're friendly. And they'll say, man, I just got a call from so-and-so, and they said that you spoke very highly of me. And, that shows a very, very high level of you and who you are as a person. And I say, man, it's true. You're going to do a great job. Congratulations. But I'm going to fucking beat you the next time. So don't get too excited.
Take this win now.
Take this one now.
Yeah, that's funny. No, that's cool, man. I like that. And that's I've learned that in the beginning. I think every real estate in the beginning, you're just like everything is mine. You know what I mean? But then I think as you get older and bigger, more, more whatever, you tend to realize, okay, it's important to be friendly with other agents because you're gonna come across them on deals and whatnot. You want them in your corner as well, and then to have that rapport is important too, and have a good name out there is important too. I'm sure you have agents out in the Massachusetts area who are like, I really hope I don't come across this person ever again. You know what I mean? And vice versa, right? But you don't want to be that person, right? And so
For
therefore,
sure. How about you? Like, do you have any plans to go to California? I mean, I know LA. A lot of
great
people are
question.
going to Vegas, obviously. But
Yeah,
like,
I
do you
think that.
have?
Great question. That's something I'm definitely looking to doing as well. I'm born and raised in San Diego, actually, so I'm a California kid
Oh,
myself.
wow.
Yeah, so I've been here, but I've been in Vegas for about 17 years, so for a long time now. So I do have a lot of contacts out there. If I were to expand, it'd be definitely Southern California because that's family, friends, and and I know it extremely well. But yes, for sure. I don't know how much, what kind of a level it would be, but something where it makes sense because I'm literally just handing over business. At a certain point, you got to go, wait a minute, I should be capitalize on this.
For sure.
Yeah, and also for the sports entertainment, for me, I'm lucky enough to work with that, sports as well. So they go everywhere. You know what I mean? So I'm going to point to like, hey, if they're going to California, why not service them as well there? And also here, Vegas is a very tax friendly place. A lot of athletes live here for tax purposes, right? So we're seeing a lot more of that. I'm sure your Boston boy Mark Wahlberg just moved here, so he lives here. So I mean, a lot of people are doing that too. So and I get it. So I welcome that as well.
And what is that area that everyone talks about in Vegas? Because I don't know Vegas that well, but they basically call it the hills of Las Vegas. Like they compare it to Beverly Hills and the Hidden Hills. Like, what is that area in
So
that part of Las Vegas?
Great question. We have two locations that people are kind of going to. One's called the Summit. The Summit is where Mark Wahlberg bought the home. So there, Oprah Winfrey bought some land out there. So a lot of people are buying land in these extravagant, beautiful custom homes. And the other one is called it's in Henderson. Henderson's the city south of Vegas, but it's literally adjacent. That's where the Raiders headquarters is. So Mark Davis bought a home out there, building some crazy building out there. And there's a mountainside. They're really carving this mountain out. So every home has an unobstructed 180 view of the strip. The rule is our ocean is our strip. So that's what people want, that view, right? So that's what people are doing that. So minimum starting there is $4 million plus, all custom homes, but it's cool. It's just chiseled out in this mountain.
And how is that being carved out? Is it like there's someone buying these lots and like basically flattening them, getting them build ready, shovel ready, and then selling them as parcels? Or is it really developers just building homes and selling them?
Yeah, so it's going to be a land investor who owns that land, and they're excavating it and making let's say 4 to 5 parcels per every layer, I guess you can say. Wow. Every lot has a premium, and then you actually have to hire approved architect to design the home. And they got to make sure that no home's the same. It's got to look different, kind of thing. So they have those rules in play to make sure that it looks aesthetic appealing. But I mean, it's insane. And as you know, a lot more Hollywood and actors and all coming out because of tax purposes. And we're now a metropolitan city, man. I mean, as you know, Raiders, the A's are coming here soon. The Golden Knights just won the Stanley. I mean, it's a different city. I mean, but in the last 5 years, George. So this is a newer thing for us. We've had more money ever in the history of Vegas. Used to be just transient, people fly in and fly out and give us their money via casinos. But now people are buying homes.
I've given you guys a good amount of money.
We appreciate it. Always appreciate it. But it's cool, man. And we also have our executive private airport in Henderson. So people can fly in to California with an hour and a half from door to door. I mean, wow. You can't beat that, right? So people are starting to realize that. And they're building a bullet train that goes to California in a couple hours. So therefore, it's just people just coming back and forth. So it's cool. It's really exciting. And then, of course, we have the Super Bowl this year. And F1 racing happening this, too. So I mean, it's a lot of things happening. So we're really excited.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and you guys are obviously sports town. I mean, obviously, we envy all your championships. I mean, the Patriots run is just ridiculous. So
you guys guys beat us this year in the ugliest fashion possible.
That lateral thing was bizarre.
Oh man, I can't even think about that game.
That's funny. All right, George, we're hitting 54 minutes now, almost an hour. You've been great. So where can they find you? I know I put your name up there above you on your Instagram kind of thing. Is there anywhere else they can find you besides, a website? Do you have anything like that?
Well, we have our website, the sarkisteamboss.com. So it's the sarkisteambos.com. LinkedIn for sure, George Sarkis Jr. And then the best way is to just holler at me on IG.
Cool. He did respond that way. He's awesome. But George, also you're an amazing guy. You have a lot of experience, man, and obviously congrats on all your success. You're killing the game, and I'm obviously proud to be another agent with our Douglas Elliman family. So I have one last bonus question. It's a fun question that I ask, and see what your answer is. I think I know, but let's see. The question is, if I were to give you $10 million today, or I can give you can go back in time 10 years with all the knowledge you have today, what would you select?
I go back in time 10 years, brother.
Let's go. Yeah, for sure.
I'd go back 10 years, and that 10 million would be more like 50 to 100 million probably. So
exactly.
I'd go back for sure. Knowledge is power. And one piece of advice I give a lot of my younger agents and anyone starting in the business is be a sponge. Learn, ask questions, be around successful people, be around people who have made it, and just absorb all that information possible.
Absolutely. I truly believe in that. You want to hang around that because you can see it's possible, right? And that's important too. That's possible. And they're normal people. You know what I mean? They're not like superhuman. You know what I mean? They're normal people who just put in the time and learn. And, they had a mentor too, or did the exact same thing. And, they always say the blueprint is there. There's no like, no one's keeping things a secret. Everything is available. Everything is out there. So it's up to you to divulge and then, of course, implement. And that's always the case for anyone to be successful.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Well, George, you have been awesome, man. And congratulations on our success and everything you got going on. I'm looking forward. I went to Boston once in my life. I got to go back. I did the whole tourist thing, went to the oldest pub. I did all that stuff.
You give me a heads up. I'll roll out the red carpet for you. All right.
I appreciate it,
man. Let me know ahead of time, and we'll take good care of you here.
I appreciate it, man. But no, Boston, honestly, a beautiful, beautiful city. I went in September, and the weather was just phenomenal. I mean, it was gorgeous. What a beautiful history. I love history. Obviously, your history is obviously off the charts for U.S. history. But no, great city, man, and they're lucky to have you out there.
Thanks, man. I appreciate your time, and thanks for having me today.
Thanks, brother. Take care. Thank you.
Take care, brother. Bye.
Bye-bye.